the top stories. Three in critical condition as medical helicopter crashes on U.S. highway. Fire raises part of Rivers State Secretariat days after Fubar's dissolution of pension board. President Tinubu to meet Police Council of State over insecurity. And Senator Natasha resumes today after 6-month suspension. Details now. Thank you for staying tuned. The world news at 12 begins outside the shores of Nigeria with an unfortunate incident where 3 people remain in critical condition after a medical helicopter crashed on the California highway, prompting authorities to shut down parts of the roadway for emergency response. The medical emergency aircraft crashed on a busy stretch of Highway 50 in Sacramento, California, on Monday. According to Reuters, the air transport operator confirmed that no patient was on board when the helicopter went down near the city's 59th Street on the eastbound side of the highway. This section quickly turned from morning traffic to a field of flashing lights and emergency crews. Sacramento Mayor Kevin McCarthy said on X that the survivors were rushed to nearby hospitals for treatment as first responders worked swiftly to contain fuel leaks and manage traffic gridlock that followed. The Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, and Sacramento Fire Authorities are yet to comment on what caused the helicopter to come down. Both agencies are expected to participate in a full investigation. Back home in Nigeria, a fire on Monday evening destroyed a section of the podium block at the Rivers State Secretariat complex in Port Harcourt, causing panic among workers and damaging properties. The affected areas include offices that house the Rivers State Pension Board. The head of service, Dr. Iyingi S.I. Brown, attributed the incident to an electrical fault. She said firefighters from the Rivers State Fire Service, the Federal Fire Service, and the military worked together to contain and extinguish the blaze. She said the incident comes just days after Governor Siminalayi Fubara dissolved the Rivers State Pension Board without giving reasons for the action. It also follows the governor's recent warning to permanent secretaries who, according to him, acted below civil service standards during the period of emergency rule in the state. Governor Fubara had stated that such records could be used against the erring officers at the appropriate time. Although no official link has been established between the board's dissolution and the fire, the timing has raised public curiosity over whether the blaze was coincidental or an attempt to destroy vital documents. Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu has summoned the meeting of the Council of State and the Police Council for Thursday, October 9, 2025, to deliberate on the escalating insecurity across parts of the country and other pressing national issues. The strategic sessions to be held at the Council chambers of the Presidential Villa in Abuja underscore the President's renewed commitment to strengthening Nigeria's security architecture and restoring public confidence amid rising security concerns. According to a statement on Monday by the Permanent Secretary, Cabinet Affairs Office, Dr. Imansu Umobong, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, has formally invited members of both councils to participate either physically or virtually. The Council of State, chaired by the President, is an advisory board comprising former President, former heads of state, former Chief Justice of Nigeria, state governors, and the Attorney General of the Federation. It provides counsel on major policy matters, including national security and appointments. On the other hand, the Police Council oversees the organization, administration, and operational control of the Nigeria Police Force, including the appointment and discipline of senior officers. Presidency sources told journalists that the meetings would review the nation's security situation, evaluate ongoing military operations, and consider fresh measures to tackle banditry, kidnapping, and communal violence in some northern and central states. The planned sessions will also coincide with deliberations on key political and administrative matters, including the expected nomination of a successor to the outgoing chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. Meanwhile, Chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, has avoided arrest by the Nigerian police force after partially complying with a Federal High Court judgment in Osogbo. The court, presided over by Justice Fumilola Demi Ajayi, had ordered the INEC chairman to restore the name of Action Alliance National Chairman Adekunle Rufai Omoaje, along with the names of the party's National Executive Committee, to INEC's official portal. The court further directed that the names of all state chairmen elected under Omoaje's leadership be posted online. While INEC fully complied with the order to restore the state's chairmen's names, it only partially implemented the judgment regarding the NEC. The portal now includes the NEC members' names but omits Omoaje's name and the address of the party's national secretariat. Additionally, the name of Kenneth Udeze, who had been suspended and expelled from the party, still appears on the portal. The AA had elected its NEC at the party's national convention held on October 7, 2023 at the Olusegun Obasanjo Presidential Library in Abeokuta, Ogun State. Following INEC's partial compliance, the court had instructed the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetoko, to arrest the INEC chairman if he failed to fully implement the ruling within 7 days. However, the INEC chairman was not arrested. The case is ongoing, with the party seeking full enforcement of the court's ruling. In a recent development, after serving her 6-month suspension, the senator representing Kogi Central, Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, is set to officially resume plenary sessions along with other lawmakers today. The assurance was given by one of her lawyers, Victor Giwa, in an interview with journalists. The upper chamber had earlier shifted its resumption from September 23 to October 7, extending its annual recess by 2 weeks and halting deliberations on several key national priorities. Her legal team has warned the Senate against any move to block her entry into the chamber, insisting that the Kogi Central lawmaker had already served out her punishment and is constitutionally entitled to resume legislative duties. According to him, blocking her again would amount to contradicting the Senate's own resolution and plunging the legislature into total chaos. Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan had described Senate President Godswill Akpabio as a dictator when she was allowed into her office 2 weeks ago after serving her sanction. Upon resumption, the lawmaker, who had been on suspension, remained resolute, insisting that she has no apology to tender. The federal government is in advanced talks with China's Export-Import Bank for a $2 billion loan to build a new electricity supergrid designed to tackle Nigeria's long-standing power supply challenges. According to Bloomberg, the proposed grid project aims to strengthen power transmission across the eastern and western regions of the country, where most industrial consumers are based. Minister of Power Adebayo Adelabu disclosed the plan at an economic summit in Abuja on Monday, saying the project was part of efforts to decentralize power generation and encourage heavy energy users who left the national grid due to its unreliability to reconnect. According to Bloomberg, the minister's team confirmed that negotiations with China's Exim Bank were progressing, while the financing for the super grid had already received cabinet approval. Nigeria's electricity generation capacity is about 13 gigawatts, but only a third of that reaches consumers through the central grid, which frequently experiences system collapses. By comparison, Bloomberg reported that South Africa, with a population a quarter of Nigeria's, has about 70 gigawatts of installed generation capacity. This unreliable power supply has forced many companies to depend on self-generated electricity, now accounting for nearly half of national consumption. The new supergrid, according to Adelabu, will improve power flow to industrial zones and encourage manufacturing growth. The federal government is looking to borrow $500 million from the African Development Bank, AFDB, this year. A Reuters report quoting an executive of the bank said the loan is part of a $1 billion budget support program following economic reforms introduced by President Bola Tinubu. Bode Oyetunde, who represents Nigeria and Sao Tome and Principe on the AFDB board, said the loan could be approved before the end of the year. The development followed several economic reforms since President Tinubu took office in May 2023, with the removal of fuel subsidies, introduction of unified foreign exchange rate, and the launching of tax reforms, forming major policies of the administration. Oyetunde added that the bank is focusing on fiscal and power sector reforms as part of its support program. You're currently listening to the World News at 12 right here on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. We take a very short break and return with the news analysis segment. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're still tuned into the World News at 12 right here on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. I'm now being joined by journalist and political and national affairs analyst, Mr. Awa Omiko. Thank you for joining me this afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you. Can you hear me properly?
Yes, I can.
Beautiful. Let's get right into the conversation, beginning with INEC Chairman Mahmoud Yakubu actually escaping police arrest just days before leaving office, as the INEC finally partially complied with a court order to restore the names of certain people within the Action Alliance to its portal. Quite a number of Nigerians, when the reports first came out that the INEC chairman may be arrested if he does not comply with that report, said it is not possible with the kind of country that we're in that the INEC chairman will be arrested for whatever reason, especially as he will be leaving very soon, and we'll have another INEC chairman coming up very, very shortly.
Hello?
I can hear you, Mr. Awamiko. Can you hear me?
You see, nobody in this country is above the law. If the INEC chairman has erred, he'll be arrested. He'll be arrested and tried before the law. Only that we live in a country. Well, I don't want to use the word of some people that describe it as a zoo. I don't want to do that. But it's like a jungle, and it's just for the survival of the fittest. And you see some people seem to do certain things and go scot-free, depending on who they know and the powers of the day, the powers that has put them there. But in the case of INEC chairman, I know he has a lot of people he has offended and a lot of results that are not actually properly announced. But if he refuses to comply to the dictates of the court, he'll be arrested. It's not above the law. He'll be arrested and tried. It's not above the law. And it's not bigger than Nigeria. And if he's investigated and found wanting, he'll be tried, just according to the Nigerian constitution. And nobody is above the law. He can't be arrested. Thank you.
As much as we say nobody is above the law in Nigeria, certain Nigerians actually believe that there are people who are above the law. There are people who seem to be bigger than the country, larger than life. And that's the reason why anti-corruption agencies and security agencies cannot go after them if they have been accused of any infractions.
You see, those people are just for the time, while just enjoying. But they're not enjoying their freedom. There will be a government that will get up and retry all. Let's take the case. Let's just flash back to the days of Murtala Mohammed. You see that there were people that Gowon was actually finding easy to deal with. The very moment Murtala Mohammed came on board, though you may say it was a military regime, Murtala Mohammed had to try those people and disgrace them out of office. And added, he said, with military, he said with automatic alacrity. He added that with automatic alacrity. He tried those people. So their days are short. If they believe for now that they are above the law, that nobody can hold them, their days are short. And I would rather call them to turn to a new leaf before the ravaging clouds catches up with them.
You believe that, Mr. Awamiko, you believe that Nigeria can still get to that point where we will have people who are offenders, who have misappropriated state funds, people who are guilty of corruption and other criminal acts that will be largely prosecuted, even if they are former political office holders. Some
Yes,
Nigerians and political analysts like yourself believe that corruption has so eaten into the fabric of our national morality that we cannot even separate good from bad anymore. And we seem to actually celebrate those people who should be prosecuted instead.
you see, I believe Nigeria will get to that level, and that will be the level of revolution. It's going to sanitize. The way the revolution is going to come, it's not going to be the type most people are saying it's going to be political, it's going to be political. It's going to sanitize the system. I know some of them are actually almost in the nooks in all sectors of the economy. By the time sanity comes into it, people will begin to wonder: is it the country that once described as a foundation, as a foundation of corruption in the world? No, we can. There be a time a leader will come and say, "You can't continue like this. This is not how a country should be run." In terms of when we begin to look at it possibly and the corrupt nature of the country. No, we can't continue like this. A time is coming, and it shall be very soon. That everything will turn around for good. A time is coming, and it shall be very soon. I
Nigerians,
so much believe in that Nigeria.
okay, Nigerians will continue to await such a time with bated breath. Let's quickly talk about President Tinubu to meet with the Council of State and the Police Council over insecurity. The strategic sessions are to be held at the council chambers of the presidential villa under the president's renewed commitment to strengthening Nigeria's security architecture and also trying to restore public confidence amid these rising concerns of insecurity in different areas of the country. The president is the chairman of the Council of State, right? It is an advisory board. We have former president, former heads of state, former chief justices, former state governors, and the attorney general of the federation to provide counsel on major policy matters, including national security. Is that to say that the president is finally ready to take advice from those who came before him to see how they were able to actually curb issues of insecurity in the country? And do you believe that the outcome of this Council of State and Police Council meeting would actually be a high point or will be a step in the right direction towards curbing insecurity that many Nigerians have been complaining about?
Yes, I so much believe in it. I so much believe in it. And that is if the implementations of these people are something to go by. Because these are the people that have the technical know-how, the wit, the powers to actually dominate and what it means to rule this country. They have the security architecture. And with this, they'll be able to offer solutions to what is actually happening. Even though President Tinubu is giving us has organized it and has organized it, if he can listen to them, I think there should be a way out. And there is no better way other than let's have state security. Let's have state security. Countries like UK, that are even smaller than Nigeria, has state security known as Askari, and they have county security. Even in the United States, they have their own county security, which is the local government security. Let us have it and institutionalize it into our constitution. And if nothing like that is done, we'll still be chasing shadows. These people know the truth and they know what to do to stop this insecurity, which is hampering and setting us back as a nation.
You know, while we're talking about state policing, and you say that that is a step in the right direction towards curbing insecurity, I think it was last Friday that the North Central Forum of the APC came out to say they're not in support of state police, as governors will turn it around for their own use and use state police against their own political opponents. That the state police will not be used for the good of the people, but will be turned into another negative way to be a tool in the hand of governors and politicians against their political opponents. Do you agree with this argument against state policing?
I don't agree. That may be part of the next negative callings of state security. But mind you, there are institutions there. If we introduce the state police and we strengthen our institutions like the judiciary, we strengthen the judiciary. If you can make the judiciary truly independent, not an appendage of the executive as it is in Nigeria.
Mm.
If you make it truly independent, you will see that the state security and other institutions around it will work. Nigeria is not the only place. There are other places where there is state security. Take example of the US. If you are entering New York, you see a different police. And this state security does not mean they are totally independent. They are equally under the federal security, the federal security apparatus, which means they cannot be stronger than the federal security. And in any place where there is a crossroad, the federal security instruction or whatever takes permanence. And you have, just as when you are tried in the state court and nothing happens, you say let's go to Supreme Court. Issues like that can stand. And we should equally have an institutions where if the legal institution is very strong, it can equally check the governor from using them as a tool. You may begin to cite the case of Imo State during the time of Okorocha that was using its security apparatus to chase the people around. No, that's a very bad example. That shouldn't hold. There must be checks and balances. And in so doing, you curb the excesses of the security of the state security. So let us not begin to entertain fears on something we have not started. Let us not allow the fear of the unknown kill the good system that is about to be born. Let us introduce it. Nigeria is not the only place. Even if you go to countries like Canada, you see it there. Why is it that we're always copying these advanced countries example without copying them fully and properly? Let's introduce it. It is for our own good. The federal system, the federal police does not know or do not know or may likely not know, I would never know, the nooks and crannies of Lagos. It is only the Lagos police, the local people, that will be able to tell you that. It is only them that will be able to tell you where a suspect may likely be hiding. It may take federal police time to find out, but state security will with immediacy locate them. So let us introduce them. And not only the state security, when you do that, you come to local government, you see that it is only you that knows the nooks and crannies of your room, not an outsider. And that is how state security operates.
Mr. Alamiko, while we're talking about insecurity, yesterday residents of southern Kaduna came out with their faces painted black to actually protest against this insecurity. Also, we had the same thing in Edo State, where youths came out to protest against the incessant kidnappings, criminality, and abduction, saying that they are tired. In different states of the federation, citizens are calling on the federal government, calling on security agents, on the military, the police, and others to safeguard the lives and property of Nigerians. Apart from political will, what else would it actually take to phase out insecurity once and for all, or to curb it to the barest minimum? Because Nigeria was not always like this.
Now, if you look at the ratio of Nigerians to a policeman, you see that it is very, very high. No matter the engagement, the ratio. You don't be so surprised that one police may be guiding up to 5,000 Nigerians. And what is their population? And most of these police officers that are supposed to be guiding us are not really guiding the people. They are behind one deputy governor, one madam, one rich woman, one rich man, carrying their briefcase and handbags. And these are police that should be somewhere protecting the citizens, but they are protecting their pockets somewhere. And those of them that manage to be in the stations, you see hotels using them to guide their premises.
Quite a number of them believe that not only is that more lucrative, but it takes them out of the forefront of danger, and that's why you have many of our security agents who don't even mind being on such duties.
That is not their calling. They calling one. We should reorientate anybody enrolling into that force that this is your primary duty, which is security. It is not going to carry briefcase or going to guide or follow one load from the borders across to other states. That is not their major duty. In fact, it's not even part of it. But by the time you see that the real people on the field doing this job are very minimal, they have been overwhelmed. And this is why we need a state security. We need the neighborhood watch. If the neighborhood watch, the neighborhood security men could come up, let them walk alongside the state police. Well, you can't run, you can only run, you can't hide. They will get you once there is a crime. They will be able to locate you. We need to encourage people within the neighborhood to begin to guide themselves. And that is the only way you can begin to stop this. All these kidnappers and bandits and terrorists, they are not spirits, they are human beings. And they even go and hide in the forest. Who told you that they can be found? Let me give you an example. Let me give you in a place where such things does not exist much. Have you heard of the Ohofia example? The security people at Ohofia. Do you know what they did? The Ohofia people set up vigilante, and they have vigilantes in their bushes. Once they notice a strange face going into areas it should not go, you'll be accosted.
But Mr. Awaomiko, we have vigilantes in several other villages and communities in both urban and rural areas. We see these bandits coming into these communities, disarm the vigilantes, murder them gruesomely, and go ahead to cause brazen barbarity in these communities. So even when we have these vigilantes, it's not enough to secure the people.
It is because those vigilante men have not been equipped. Let them be equipped. Use whatever thing you have to equip yourself. Because these terrorists and bandits come with sophisticated weapons. And at times, they have the backings of the army and soldiers, of the army and police. When they use such sophisticated weapons, you cannot use such weapons against cutlass or against clubs. Most vigilante groups, some of them even use that double barrel. And at times when they even carry double barrels, the police will turn around to arrest them that those double barrels were not licensed. So equip your vigilante, equip the community policing, encourage community policing, encourage state policing. It has to come in layers. When these things come in layers, they'll be able to surround their community and give us effective security.
All right.
If you don't have effective security, there's nothing you can do. No matter the political will, no matter the essence of investment, and no matter the way you want to bring people from outside to come and invest, it makes the place volatile for investment. So the best way is to institutionalize this community policing, institutionalize state policing, and institutionalize some certain grade of people to carry weapons, like the neighborhood watch. Train them to carry weapons. Not if they are not trained to carry weapons, they cannot be able to stand these bandits that come in with sophisticated weapons. And that is one of the ways these bandits will just come in and within a twinkle of an eye kill everybody and go with their loot. That is not proper.
It's quite unfortunate. It's quite unfortunate, Mr. Awamiko, but we can continue to talk about security from yesterday till tomorrow until we have the political will, the technical know-how, the military strength to combat insecurity. It will just be a conversation. But the people who are greatly affected, who have lost their loved ones, want this to end once and for all. Because of our time, Mr. Awamiko, let's quickly look at another issue where Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan has resumed at the Senate today, resumed at the Senate today after a 6-month suspension. You recall that 2 weeks ago her office was opened and she referred to the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, as a dictator and said she has no apology to tender. She served out as her 6 months. She is at plenary today. The President of the Senate is not around and his deputy is actually presiding over plenary. How do you think that this whole suspension and how it has played out will affect her relationship with her fellow legislators and how well she'll be able to represent her people going forward.
And if you look at her, in fact, it's a win-win for her. It has equally made her more popular than the least president. Before now, there are lots of people that don't even know who she was or whom she is. They don't even know whom she is. If I thought she existed, but now people can begin to say, yes, she once fought and won. And it's only a win-win for the women who are always looking for relevance and opportunity to exploit. But the totality of it all is that why would a whole state, a whole senate, to be able to spend such time and money on such frivolities? I call it a frivolity. And again, I call it partial justice. When you look at it, because the Senate president that was involved never stepped down. He should have stepped down if he had to do in some countries. That refusal to step down would have meant a recall. They refused to step down for as long as the case lasted. And now, what would the ordinary man in the street say? They will now tell you that everything has been stage managed so that it will appear as if there is no victor, no vanquished. But in the real sense of it, they have helped to feather the cap of that sector. And I believe if she stands for another election, she's going to come up top because it has made her place popular and it has given her the effrontery and confidence to challenge any power and any build. If she now talks, they say yes, give her the audience. So to me, it's just a callback, just a welcome back, and it should equally help to create a better law for the people. And let's look at the legislature too. It should equally be able to make them know that let them be able to fight for their own rights. And I believe if truly that we're able to leave the two cases were true or false, that there must have been more of such things going on in the House. And until such thing is arrested at the grassroots, it will continue to come to the public fore. Thank you.
All right, then let's quickly look at another situation. A new report states that the federal government is seeking $2 billion from China for a power grid. The federal government is actually in advanced talks with the China Export-Import Bank for a $2 billion loan to build a new electricity super grid to tackle Nigeria's power supply challenges, which have been long-standing. This project is to strengthen power transmission across the eastern and western regions of the country where most industrial consumers are based. Now, according to the Power Minister Adebayo Adelabu, he says this will improve power flow to industrial zones and encourage manufacturing growth. Since May 2023 till now, this administration has actually made Nigerians feel they've gone on a borrowing spree. Many Nigerians say that this is a palliative system of administration, a palliative and loan system of government. This $2 billion to build a new electricity super grid, will it actually curb these issues of incessant power grid failure? You just see, national grid is down. In fact, there are accounts that are dedicated to counting how many times the power grid has failed. Sometimes you see the power grid failing as much as 2-3 times in 1 month. While this is happening, the federal government is also looking to borrow $500 million from the African Development Bank to support the budget. I want to get your take on that.
Yes. It is not just going to call, if you like, go to Japan, bring Russia. But the issue is that what do we have on ground? The sabotaging within the system, the power grid. What have we bothered to investigate why those things maybe keeps on collapsing? Have we bothered? At what level? At what is the level of maintenance? And have we ever bothered to ask ourselves that this type of this type of electricity we are using within this period of time, can't we look for an alternative means of electrifying the country? What are the alternative means? And if the grid goes down, how can we sustain it so that it shouldn't be all the time down and off, down and off? Just as some people said, because those things are going down because they are highly under-maintained. And now we want to bring in a new one. There's nothing wrong in multiplicity, but there's everything wrong in poor maintenance. And there's everything wrong in refusal to check the sabotage. And there's everything wrong in not having enough power for industrialization and even for people. So government should not just begin to spend huge sums of money without doing the necessary things to maintain that the infrastructure put in place are maintained. China good, the good is a laudable project, but could that project be sustained beyond Tinubu? I hope it's not a project that will, in 6 months' time, they will abandon it just like they abandoned Ajekuta. And they should equally make sure that the type of engineering and construction work is a universally acceptable one. That if by tomorrow we decide to say we no longer want China, American engineers should be able to come and work on it. But on the case of Ajekuta, they will tell you, come, this system, this engineering work is the China base and not the American base. So let us start all over again. No. The project must be standardized. And it must be sustainable. And there must be continuity in terms of maintenance and otherwise.
All right. So the fact that the federal government is looking outwards for loans to improve our electricity sector is not the problem, but that it will have a lasting impact for the good of Nigerians.
Yes.
But while we're looking at that, our external debt has skyrocketed to about 149.39 trillion naira in the first quarter of 2025. What's our hope of paying this back? And why do we always look outwards for or help for Nigerians? I mean, is there no way of doing this thing inwards? While we're talking about, the president promised Nigerians electricity and said if we do not have constant power supply before 2027, nobody should vote for him. But the presidential villa, it was fitted with solar panels a few months ago.
That shows the the poverty of ideas. Look, Nigeria is not the only country borrowing anyway, and US is equally owing huge amounts. And I thank God for the question. I said, why are we always looking outside? We're looking outside because our countries, our leaders have failed to put in the right infrastructure that will drive revenue inside and will be able to raise money to fund our projects. And some of our projects even, we can't sustain them because of the way they constructed and poorly maintained. Now let us look at it again. If you look inward, you are bringing the only way taxation and revenue, levies, tariff, and other things. Where there is no power supply, how can you get the right tax? Where there is no power supply, how can you get the right tariff? Where there is insecurity, how can you raise the right internal fund to look for source for projects or implement the right projects? You must first maintain a level playing ground. Then all other sectors will grow. Once they flourish, you'll be able to raise money. And since we don't have a flourishing industrial sector, that is why the federal government keep on looking outside. But the very moment the industrial sectors flourish, once they flourishes as it should be, you begin to see that internal revenue coming. In fact, it will be just like the days of Udoji, when Gowon said his problem is not money, but how to spend it. So you can equally see that if the right things are there, it will be done. Then when it begins to come in terms of payment, government is a continuum. And that is why I don't believe that the Nigerian project will be stagnated. Neither do I believe it will die a stillbirth. No. I believe time shall come when things will be revolutionized and will flourish again. It is at that apogee of flourishing that will start payment. It is everybody's money. It is a global money. It is at that level that you can make a state, individual states, you can make the whole state, the whole country, much more productive. That will begin to pay back. If you don't have money, you can't pay. Now you look at it. Most countries, most states, most production outfits in Lagos and in Nigeria are more or less working below capacity. Since they are working below, how do you expect them to raise enough money? And when we begin to come and talk about our taxations, how about the taxing officers? Are they real? Are they genuine? Is there no underhand? Is there no corruption within the system? Now, the corruption within the system, how can it be arrested? And how can the people be tried? And how can you make sure that you checkmate it, that it will never happen again? But it is a system where the winner takes it all. You steal and plead for God to plead for bargaining, and at times you don't even plead for bargaining because you belong to club so or to the rich or to certain political party. You are made, you are declared clean. But that is not how to still run a nation. These Chinese people that is coming in their own country, corruption is not handled with a child's glove. It is not handled with levity. If you sabotage the economy, you pay heavily for it. And most times, the penalty is death. If we have allowed a lot of people to sabotage our economy, and we rob them, give them that care, we even give them the security, and in a few years' time, give them the national honor of the country, and make them Mr. Right, and they enter and they go scot-free. Which example are you setting? And until we go back to square one to begin to make sure that corruption is wiped away in the system, we continue to borrow. And most times, if you borrow for consumption, you continue to borrow. But if you borrow for investment, and that investment flourishes, you will be able to have more than enough to pay back.
All right.
And that's
Thank you.
And I pray Nigeria get to that level.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Awamiko, for joining me on the World News at 12 this afternoon. As much as I want to continue the conversation, our time is fast spent and we need to go. But it's always a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Have an amazing day. We have been speaking with political and national affairs analyst, Mr. Awa Omiko, right here on the World News at 12 this afternoon. Just before we wrap up, let's take a look at the top stories again. You heard that 3 people are in critical condition as a medical helicopter crashed on the U.S. highway. Fire raises part of Rivers Secretariat days after Governor Fubara's dissolution of the pension board. President Tinubu to meet police and Council of State over insecurity, and Senator Natasha resumes today after a 6-month suspension. And that is a wrap on the World News at 12. My name is Chioma Innocent. Please follow our social media handles at VOP903 FM for coverage of your live event and brand news mentioned on our news bulletins. Do send a mail to news@voiceofthepeople.ng. Good afternoon and thank you for listening. Do stay tuned. Matters will be coming up by 1:30 p.m. with Solomon of M.
This is the station that gives you a voice.
How can you be jubilating when judgment has not been given? Meaning that you are bribing the judiciary.
You see a lot of properties